students, welcome back to the class once again. So today we are going to discuss the events of the revolt 1857. So before I start the topic, I would like to request you all to watch the previous video of this chapter. Two tutorials already I have uploaded, part 1 and part 2. The link to those parts are given in the description. Please watch it so that you can understand what were the causes of the revolt 1857. So link is given in the description, so please watch it. So let us now come back to the topic, revolt 1857. Okay, now on 29th March, in the previous class we discussed about the immediate cause of the revolt 1857. That was the introduction of grease cartridge that added fuel to the fire. The grease cartridge, which was to be beaten off with the teeth, and the wrapper of the grease cartridge was greased with the fat of a cow and a pig. So the rumor was spread everywhere that it is the grease cartridge is made of fat of a cow and pig. So definitely the Muslims will refuse it. They will not use it because pig is unclean for them and it is a taboo for them. Whereas cow is holy for the Hindus, so refuse to use it. So the first person to refuse the use of grease cartridge was Mangal Pandey. You might have heard about him. There was a movie on him, Mangal Pandey. So 29th March 1857, Mangal Pandey refused to use the grease cartridge. Okay, so when he refused to use the grease cartridge, he was arrested. Mangal Pandey was arrested. Okay, and then he was executed. He was executed on 8th of April 1857. 8th of April 1857 he was executed. He was to be punished. Okay, and then 34th Infantry of Barakpur, to which Mangal Pandey also belonged. Okay, 34th Infantry of Barakpur was completely banned. This troop was completely banned. So when this 34th Infantry was banned, what happened was that the soldiers, when they returned home, when they reached to their respective places or their homes, they spread the news that they were forced to use the grease cartridge, and those who refused to use the grease cartridge, either they were hanged or were given lifetime imprisonment. So when these sepoys reached home, okay, they spread among the people, spread among the masses that what all things are going on against the sepoys. Okay, and even the condition which the sepoys faced in the army or the regiment was completely disclosed among the people, which created a hatred against the British rule in our country. So with that, the first man to refuse the grease cartridge was Mangal Pandey. With that, the revolt spread. Let us say revolt formally started with the mutiny started by the sepoys. So when they came home, when they reached home, they shared the news, their happenings, and that aroused a hatred among the masses, and these sepoys along with the masses went against the British rule in different parts of the country. Okay, this way the revolt started. Got it? Now this is something different. 24th March 1857, Mangal Pandey refused to use it. 8th April he was executed. Okay, and then the 34th Infantry of Barakpur was completely banned, and these soldiers, when they returned home, they shared what all happened with them, and that aroused hatred among the people, and the revolt spread in different parts of the country. Okay, now the first one, it started, you can see a revolt started in Meerut, very famous place, Meerut. Okay, 24th April 1857. 24th April 1857, okay, 85 sepoys refused. Again the same thing, 85 sepoys refused to use the grease cartridge. Excuse me. 85 sepoys refused to use the grease cartridge. This is the incident which took place at Meerut. Okay, they refused to use the grease cartridge, and for refusal, they were sentenced to 10 years of imprisonment. They were sentenced to how many years? 10 years of imprisonment, and hard labor was punished to them. Okay, so on May 10th, the sepoys revolted when they were executed for 10 years. 10 years rigorous imprisonment when it was given. The sepoys, they decided, let us now free ourselves from this type of atrocities. So on 10th of May 1857, the sepoys revolted and killed the British officers. They killed the British officers and released the imprisoned sepoys and marched towards Delhi. Those sepoys who were imprisoned were freed by the rest of the sepoys, and they marched towards Delhi. I hope you people are trying to understand. Okay, so they freed their fellow mates and they marched towards Delhi. So when they reached Delhi, okay, that is 11th May 1857. Now you can see 10th of May. 10th of May, they freed their fellow friends from the prison and they reached to Delhi. Then the revolt started in Delhi. So there, when they reached on 11th of May 1857, okay, first of all, they captured the city and marched towards Red Fort. They captured the city and then they marched towards Red Fort. Okay, and there they requested Bahadur Shah Zafar to lead the revolt. There the sepoys requested Bahadur Shah Zafar to lead the revolt. So after much hesitation, Bahadur Shah agreed and he was proclaimed as the emperor. Okay, he was proclaimed as the emperor of India by the sepoys. The sepoys proclaimed him as the emperor, and revolt started under the leadership of it is not the entire revolt. The sepoys were led by Bahadur Shah Zafar. Okay, then more and more sepoys arrived from Meerut. More and more sepoys started coming from Meerut. Okay, killed European officers, men, women, and children in fit of anger and hatred. They were very much frustrated, and in a fit of anger, they killed men, women, even the children were killed by these sepoys. The frustrated sepoys. Okay. Now the surviving Europeans, in order to save their life, they fled from Delhi. The Europeans, now to save their life from this sepoys, they fled away from Delhi. Okay. And the sepoys became the undisputed masters of the city. They became, the city completely came under the control of the sepoys, and they became the undisputed masters of the city under the authority and the titular emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. Okay, so city now is completely under the control of Bahadur Shah Zafar, and Bahadur Shah Zafar was proclaimed as emperor by the help of the sepoys. Okay, now the British realized that we need to recapture Delhi. So on 7th of August 1857, 7th of August 1857, General John Nicholson, okay, arrived in Delhi with more and more reinforcement from Punjab. From Punjab, more reinforcement was brought, and the British forces made a full-scale attack on Red Fort, on Delhi. Full-scale attack on Delhi on September 14th. On September 14th. And in September, after a siege of 4 months, as I told you, 7th of August, reinforcement was brought from Punjab under the command of John Nicholson, and after 4 siege of 4 months, after a siege of 4 months, continuously they fought for how many months? 4 months. British were able to contain the rebels and recapture Delhi. It took how many months to capture Delhi? 4 months. It took 4 months for the Britishers to capture Delhi. And finally, Bahadur Shah Zafar, his wife, and 2 of his sons were arrested, they were executed, and they were taken to prisoner. They were taken to prison. They were taken as a prisoner. Bahadur Shah was found guilty of helping and conspiring against the British rule, and for that he was sentenced to lifetime imprisonment and was exiled to Rangoon. He was exiled to Rangoon, where he died in the year 1862. He was executed, he was imprisoned for lifetime, and he was exiled in Rangoon, where he died in 1862. His two sons were killed in front of him by General Hudson. His two sons were killed in front of him by General Hudson. Okay, that brought to the end of the Mughal rule. The Mughal Empire finally came to an end. Mughal rule finally came to an end. The last Mughal emperor, I said, no, the last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar, he took part in the revolt. He captured Delhi. Finally, the Britishers recaptured Delhi, and he was executed, sent to Rangoon, where he died in the year 1862. Okay. Now, next one is revolt. This is revolt. Started from Meerut, then it reached to Delhi, then revolt in Kanpur. Okay. Let us talk about the revolt in Kanpur. So, revolt in Kanpur was led by Nana Sahib, the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. Peshwa Bajirao II. So, Nana Sahib led the mutiny in Kanpur. Got it? Nana Sahib captured the fort, declared himself as a Peshwa. Okay, he then besieged some members of the British families. Okay, there was, due to his cordial relations, friendly relations with the British, he offered them safe passage into Allahabad. Okay, on the morning of June 27th, the British family got into 40 boats kept ready for them. The sepoys then escorted them to river bank. That means those families, European families, were given safe passage. That means he had a good relation with some of the English families. So those families were given safe passage. Okay, and then let us talk about the other part. On June 17th, General Havelock defeated Nana Sahib and captured Kanpur. General Havelock captured Kanpur. Okay, though he was defeated with the help of his indigenous friend Tantia Tope, Nana Sahib once again was able to recapture Kanpur in November 1857. So just understand, first he proclaimed himself as a Peshwa, then British captured Kanpur, and again on June 17 with the help of his friend Tantia Tope, he recaptured back Kanpur in November 1857. So, unfortunately, his victory was short-lived. The victory was for a short period. Okay, later on, he had to face a terrible defeat, and Nana Sahib, in order to save his life, fled away to Nepal. Nana Sahib fled away to Nepal, after which he was unheard of. After that, what happened to Nana Sahib? Nobody knows. So, though he also fought bravely, he tried to become, but you know that the revolt was not participated by the entire people of the country. Later on, we'll discuss about it. So, after that, Nana Sahib was never heard. Okay. Now the next one, revolt in Lucknow. Revolt in Lucknow. Okay. Just for the continuity, we are discussing revolt. Nothing to do with this. Okay. There's nothing to do with this date. This date is only applicable for Delhi. Okay. So Lucknow revolt also started in Lucknow. So you know about Lucknow, okay? Lucknow was the capital city of Awadh. Yes, you are correct. Awadh was annexed by Britishers on the pretext of misgovernment. So there was a lot of frustration among the people of Awadh. Even the sepoys, they were very much hurt when Awadh was annexed. So definitely people of Awadh, when they got an opportunity to revolt, they came out of the houses to fight against the British rule. So as you know that Nawab Wajid Ali Shah was made a prisoner in Calcutta. So who led the revolt in Awadh? So his wife, the Queen Hazrat Mahal led the revolt in Kanpur. Queen Hazrat Mahal led the revolt in Kanpur. Okay, so in Awadh, the Begum, the queen, was held by talukdars who had lost their lands during the annexation of Awadh in 1856. The talukdars who lost their land during the annexation of Awadh, they helped the queen. Okay, so on September 20th September, yes, 20th September 1857, General Havelock and General Outram stormed into the residency but did not succeed. The place where Queen Hazrat Mahal and other friends were hidden, they tried to storm into it, but they could not become successful. Finally, Sir Colin Campbell reached with a fresh army and finally was defeated. Okay, that means who was defeated? The Queen. So he defeated the mutineers and recaptured Lucknow in 1858. So we can understand that everywhere in all possible ways they tried to revolt. Though they could not become successful, that is a different story. But they tried. Trying is always very important. Okay. Then after this we discuss about revolt in Jhansi. Revolt in Jhansi. So as you all know that Jhansi, whenever we talk about Jhansi, one name strikes in our mind. Which name is that? So it is Rani Lakshmibai. So you know that according to the doctrine of lapse, Jhansi was annexed. Rani, though she was capable but was not allowed to be the ruler, as there was a system that when a ruler died without leaving his natural successor, the kingdom will pass into the hands of the British. So Rani was waiting for an opportunity. She got an opportunity. So when the revolt started, okay, when the sepoys started the movement in central India, okay, so here in Jhansi, the sepoy mutiny in central India was led by Rani Lakshmibai. She was a Lakshmibai of Jhansi, and with the help of Tantia Tope. So Rani Lakshmibai, Tantia Tope. Okay. So mutineers captured a small fort on June 5th, 1857 and killed some of the Europeans. There also they killed some of the Europeans and take shelters in other adjacent areas. That means they took the shelters of those. So then the mutineers then approached to Rani of Jhansi. Rani Jhansi helped the mutineers with money, guns and elephants. Okay, so this is how Rani Lakshmibai contributed in the revolt of 1857. So as you know, the Rani Lakshmibai fought very bravely. She was a warrior. Okay, she fought bravely, but she was captured by British. She fought very bravely, but later on she was captured by the British. When some traitors, you know, everywhere traitors are there. His own people betrayed Rani Lakshmibai. So some of the traitors opened the gates. But anyhow, Rani came to know that I have been betrayed. So she ran away. She escaped the fortress during the night. From that fort, she escaped. Okay. On April 4th, 1858, she fled to Kalpi, where Tantia Tope joined her. She fled to Kalpi, where Tantia Tope joined her. Okay. And both Tantia Tope and Rani Lakshmi Bai put up a brave resistance against the British in Kalpi, but ultimately they lost Kalpi. They tried their best, but ultimately they lost Kalpi also. Okay. Now, revolt in Gwalior. After Jhansi, Gwalior, what happened there? So there also Rani Lakshmi Bai, along with Tantia Tope and other soldiers, captured the fort of Gwalior. They became successful in capturing the fort of Gwalior from Sindhyas. And these Sindhyas were the one who were loyal to the British. So, though Rani Lakshmi Bai and Tantia Tope was brave, they both were brave. Their forces were unable to compete with the British troops. Though they were very brave, but the forces of Rani Lakshmi Bai and Tantia Tope were not enough to compete with the British forces. So ultimately, Rani Lakshmi Bai died fighting on the battlefield on June 1858. 17 June 1858, Rani Lakshmi Bai died fighting in the battlefield. Sir, it has been mentioned by one of the great person, Sir Hugh Rose. See, he said that he was very much amazed by the bravery of Rani Lakshmi Bai, and he referred to her. That means who referred? Hugh Rose referred Rani Lakshmi Bai as being one of the bravest and the best of the military leader. He referred Rani Lakshmi Bai one of the bravest and the best military leader. So this is all about Rani Lakshmi Bai. Okay, so this is how Rani Lakshmi Bai took part in the revolt in 1857. Now, revolt also took place in different parts of the country. Like revolt took place in Bihar also. Okay. Revolt took place in Bihar also. Revolt also took place in other parts of India. It took place in Bihar also, and in Bihar, Kunwar Singh led the revolt. In Bareilly, that is in UP, Khan Bahadur led the revolt. In Faizabad, Maulvi Ahmadullah led the revolt. And in other places, Rajasthan as well as Muzaffarnagar also revolt took place. So everywhere throughout India, in different places, revolt took place. Okay, in spite of their bravery and their spirit to free themselves from the British rule, finally the revolt came to an end. Okay, so revolt came to an end. So what were the causes which led to the revolt that we discussed? Now, what were the causes of failure? So now we will discuss about the causes of failure. So the causes of failure. What were the causes of failure of the revolt of 1857? Though the mutineers and many of the leaders, they fought very bravely, but ultimately they were defeated. And what were the reasons for their defeat? So let us see one by one. So first of all, lack of definite and organization. Okay, so there was a lack of definite planning. So definitely planning was required, but the planning was not done. Definite planning and the proper organization was not at all seen. So mutiny was supposed to begin on May 31st, 1957. It was supposed to break at on May 31st. May 31st. Just remember the day. May 31st. May 31st. But it broke out in Meerut on May 10th, which we discussed earlier. On May 10th, it broke out in Meerut. And with that, the revolts were very much isolated uprising, without any proper organization, without any link between the mutineers. Everywhere they were against the Britishers, but there was no proper link between the people who were against the Britishers. Okay, British on the other hand were well organized and had a definite planning. They had a proper planning, or they had a proper plan of action. So in the first place, the lack of definite planning and organization was the reason for the failure. Next one, there was a lack of superior generals among. It was not united effort. It was a scattered revolt in different parts of the country. Like in Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai was leading the revolt. In Lucknow, Begum Hazrat Mahal was leading the revolt. In Kanpur, Baji Rao II's adopted son Nana Sahib was leading the revolt. It was a scattered revolt. So that means united effort was never seen. So we can still mention few of the able generals like Tantia Tope was there, Nana Sahib was there, Rani Lakshmibai was there. Okay, but they could not successfully. We can say that they could be successful only in certain regions of the country. But they were brave. But they lacked military skill. Foresightedness. Okay, military strategy was lacking among them. They were brave, but many things were lacking in them. Whereas if you compare to the European, British generals, lot of able generals were there who were trained, who were farsighted, as well as they had a good military strategy. Okay, so lack of superior generals. The generals were missing. Only few were there. They also lacked military skill and strategy. The third one, superior military strength of the British. So, in a very simple words, the Britishers fought with guns. They had introduced Enfield rifle. They fought with Enfield guns and all. Okay, whereas our Indians fought with we can say very limited access to those type of weapons. In the villages, they use primitive weapons. Whatever weapons they got, they fought with that. Okay, and even some of the sepoys, as you know, that they had killed the European counterparts, so they fought with old guns. So regarding the weapons, if you compare between both, then British were far more superior in terms of weapons, whereas the Indians fought with sword, spears, bow and arrow, okay, old guns and all, whereas the Britishers, they had a highly sophisticated weapons, modern weapons of that time they had. So definitely there was no match as compared to the weapons. Okay, and then the last one, revolt was localized. Yes, it is localized because the entire country did not participate in the revolt of 1857. The Sindhyas, the Nizams of Hyderabad, okay, the rulers of Patiala in Punjab, they remained loyal to the British. Many of the sepoys, they were loyal to the British. Okay, many of the educated class, they did not take part in the revolt. Okay, and even the Gorkha soldiers of Nepal, they were from the side of the Britishers. Okay, Gorkha soldiers rendered full support, useful help. Let us not say support, full help to the British during the revolt, to suppress the revolt of 1857. So it was a scattered revolt. It was a localized revolt. The entire country did not join the revolt of 1857. Educated class, the educated middle class, they did not at all take part in the revolt. So this was the reasons due to which the revolt of 1857 completely failed. And there was no definite national planning. It was not a national aim that we are going to free ourselves from the British rule. No. It was a localized revolt. They were fighting for getting their rules back. The national aim was not there. Okay. Some of the mutineers, some of the revolt, they fought only to defend their religion. Some fought to revive that means declining Mughal Empire. Some fought to get back their power. Okay. But British fought like patriots to defend and protect their empire. Which empire? British Empire. They fought like a patriot to defend their British Empire. So this is all about the causes of the failure of revolt to 1857. So this I just discussed in order to make you clear regarding the revolt, why it failed. Before this, the event which I discussed, that is just to continue how the revolt continued and what actually happened at the end of the revolt. So I told you about Rani Lakshmibai, I told you about Nana Sahib, Tantia Tope and all, Hazrat Mahal and all, and in different parts of the country, many of the revolts took place. So finally, why it failed? So these are the points which I discussed right now in front of you. Okay. Now the very, very important topic which we need to discuss from this chapter is the consequences of the revolt of 1857. So we'll discuss the last topic, that is the consequences of the revolt of 1857. So the last topic, the revolt of 1857, the result. What happened after the revolt of 1857? So as you know that revolt was completely brought to an end, and then after that the British Crown and the British Parliament took some important decisions. The first important decision was taken through the Act of 1858, which was passed in the Parliament on 2nd August 1858, which brought the company's rule to an end. The company's rule came to an end and company now passed into the hands of the British Crown. Now India was passed into the hands of the British Crown. The Queen will be the one who will look after the country India. So end of company's rule. The company's rule finally came to an end. Okay, to the Act of 1858, which was passed in the British Parliament. Okay, now India was to be governed directly by and in the name of the Majesty. Directly by and in the name of the Majesty. So how will the administration look like? End of company's rule. The company directly passed into the hands of British Crown, that we know it. Now administrative changes were brought. Now the Queen was to run the administration of the country India with the help of cabinet ministers of a British Parliament, and which was known as Secretary of State of India. One of the most important cabinet minister of the British Parliament, known as the Secretary of State of India. Secretary of the State of India. So through or with the help of Secretary of State of India, the Queen will look after the administration of, Queen will administer the country India. Okay, and the Secretary of State of India will assume the powers which formerly was with the board of directors. That means that was with the court of directors of the company. The court of directors of the company who enjoyed those powers earlier, now those powers were vested on whom? With the Secretary of State of India. This is the term, Secretary of State of India. Okay, and this Secretary of State of India was to be assisted by the council of 15 members. Definitely you have to please be careful, you need to understand it. Secretary of State of India was to be advised by a 15-member council. How many members? How many members? 15. 15 members. Okay, 15 members. And out of these 15 members, 9 members at least should have resided in this country for at least 10 years. 9 members out of 15 members, okay, they must have resided in India or served in India for at least how many years? 10 years. So they were to be made as the member of the council who was to assist the Secretary of State of India. Right? I hope you understood this part. Okay. Now the last one, two things we discuss over here. Number 1, and now next one we are going to discuss is number 2. Governor General was now given the title of a viceroy. Post is same. Post and position is same. Just the title of the designation is changed. Before I was known as the governor. Now I will be known as a viceroy. Only that changes. Okay. So the Governor General was given the new title of a viceroy. So a very important question. Who was the last Governor General of India? And the next question. Who was the first Viceroy of India? Answer is very, very simple. Lord Canning was the last Governor General as well as the first Viceroy of India. Lord Canning. Okay. So Lord Canning was the first Viceroy as well as the last Governor General of India. Okay. This is all about the administrative changes taking place in the country. Okay, administrative changes taking place in the country. Got it? So now next one, Queen Victoria's proclamation. Queen Victoria's proclamation. Just I'm writing the. So the next one, after the administrative changes been made. Now we'll discuss about the Queen Victoria's proclamation. So definitely you understood who was the queen at that time? Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria was the Queen of England that time. So she made certain promises because she was very much clear that the revolt took place due to the frustration of the people of India, which was the result of the atrocities being committed by the East India Company. If company could have understood their problems and grievances, then this revolt could not have taken place. So, in order to rule India for a longer period, the Queen came up with certain promises. Like, Queen decided that as per the Queen proclamation, doctrine of lapse was banned. No more annexation. Doctrine of lapse was completely abolished. No more annexation of new lands. Okay. Number 2, that means they won't now interfere in the religious and social life of the people of India. Earlier they tried to bring certain changes in the social life, the religious life. That is why the people were frustrated. So that point also was taken by Queen. So they decided now onward they were not going to interfere in the social as well as religious life of the people of India. Now the third one, they even decided that the educated Indians will get jobs in the British administration. Educated Indians will get jobs in the British administration, and that will be possible only after passing the ICSE examination, Indian Civil Service examination. Possibility was there. Opportunity now was given to the educated Indians also. That first of all you have to write the ICSE examination, and that time ICSE examination was held in London. So those who were interested, they can go sit, write the exams. If you pass, you'll get the job. Promise was made. Then whatever treaties were signed with the company, that means some of the rulers, they had signed a treaty with the East India Company, will remain as it is, will be respected. The treaties which were signed between the rulers and the company will be respected and it will be as it is. That was also finalized. Then they also decided that they will reduce the military expenditure and they will try to improve agriculture sector. They will promote agricultural sector also. They will try to promote agriculture sector by providing them irrigation facilities and all. Okay. And taxes will be reduced. They will not interfere in a social life, religious life. Okay. And one thing was clear, that those who were found guilty of murdering the English officers or those who were found guilty of killing the British officers will be punished. Rest all for minor revolts and all will be freed. That will be given. That means Queen will pardon them. General pardon will be granted to the mutineers. They will be given pardon. But those who were found guilty of killing any of the English officers will be punished. Okay. So this is all about the Queen Proclamation. Promises she did with formal in what you call it act, Queen Proclamation, but not even a single promises were fulfilled. They did not. It was just to please the mutineers, to keep them silent. But in actual practice, the main motive was to rule India for a longer period by appeasing and coming up with false promises for the Indians. Okay, that was the result of the report 1857. Now, one more important result was that important changes which was brought was the reorganization of the army. So when we discuss about the strength of the army earlier, it was found that the number of soldiers as compared to Indians were very less, like 40,000. Okay, 40,000 British soldiers were there, whereas Indian sepoys were more than 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs Indian soldiers. So that also was a great blunder done during that time. Power was given in the hand of the Indian soldiers. That is why army was completely organized. Army was completely reorganized. Okay, and all the important sections like artillery was kept in the hands of the British. All the important posts in the army were reserved for the British, like before. Indian soldiers belonging to different caste, class and religion was mixed up. All were mixed. It doesn't mean that only one caste religion. So there can be a unity again, groupism. Okay, so in order to avoid that, this type of steps were taken. Army was completely reorganized, and more and more European soldiers were recruited as compared to the Indian soldiers. Indian soldiers were also there. It didn't mean that they were removed after the revolt. No, they were there, but the number was reduced. Okay. Then after that, economic exploitation continued as usual. The end of company's rule brought to the increase in the economic exploitation of India by the British. India was exploited not by a single trading body, but by the whole of Britain now. Before it was exploited by one body, East India Company. But now a country, Britain as a whole, was exploiting the country, India. The salary of the Secretary of State of India, from where? From India. Okay. All the expenses of the British recruits were paid from India. Okay. So this is what the burden of taxes. Okay. Burden of taxes was completely on the soldiers of the Indians. They started. Now another point is side by side they made a promise, but on the other hand there was a fear that the people, Hindu and Muslim, they may unite again. So policy of divide and rule. Sometime they favored with the Muslims, sometime they favored the Hindus, and this way created a gulf between the Hindus and the Muslims. So So the seed of division which they sowed in the minds and hearts of the Indians in 1858, the result was seen in 1947 when a new state of Pakistan was created. Otherwise, earlier it was believed that Hindus and Muslims are the two eyes of the same bright India. But who instilled hatred and communal feelings in the minds of the Muslims? Britishers. And the last point is rise of nationalism. Though the revolt completely failed, it gave rise to nationalism. The first phase of nationalism, we could see it, though in a scattered form, was in the revolt of 1857. So from here onward, there was a rise of nationalism. So we saw the heroic deeds of Nana Sahib, Tantia Tope, Rani Lakshmibai. All this inspired, all these heroic deeds of these people or great veterans inspired the people of our country, people of India. And there was, that means this inspiration instilled in the minds of the Indians made them feel that we need to free our country from the British rule, and for that we need to struggle. So the revolt of 1857, my dear, became a symbol of challenge. It became the symbol of challenge to the mighty British power in India. Challenge for the mighty British power in India. So this is how, my dear, we can understand that revolt brought a lot of changes in the minds of the people, my dear. Though revolt was a failure, but it became successful in instilling courage and bravery in the minds and hearts of the people of India. The heroic deeds of Rani Lakshmibai, Tantia Tope, and even we can say Bahadur Shah Zafar, Rani Lakshmibai instilled courage and confidence in the minds of the youth of the India of that time, that they can also free themselves from the British rule completely, and for that they became ready to sacrifice their life for their country. And from there onward, the phase of nationalism starts. The nationalistic phase starts after the end of the revolt of 1857. So, what is the nature of the revolt? Why it was called the first war of independence? Though it was a revolt in a scattered form, but many of the historians are of the view that the revolt of 1857 can also be termed as the first war of independence, because the different sections of the people from different parts of the country, though in a scattered form, without any organization, they fought against the mighty British rule, which was a common enemy of these people. Nature of the revolt. Many of the historians, the British historians, European historians are of the view that this revolt was a mutiny. It was just a sepoy mutiny. It was a revolt started by the sepoys. Yes, it was started by the sepoys, but it spread in different parts of the country. But the Indian historians, my dear, like R.C. Majumdar, they were of the opinion, they described the Indian War of Independence clearly, that it was not only a sepoy mutiny, it was a mutiny, it was a revolt of the people of India. It was a revolt of the people of India. So you might have heard about great leaders like Indian leaders like Veer Savarkar, Subhash Chandra Bose. They referred to the revolt of 1857 as the first war of independence. Veer Savarkar, Subhash Chandra Bose referred this revolt as the first war of independence. And according to Jawaharlal Nehru, the revolt developed into a war of Indian independence against the hated foreigners. On the other side, many of the historians like Sir John Lawrence, According to him, the Sepoy mutiny was a military outbreak and not a conspiracy to throw out the British rule. He has given that it was not a conspiracy to throw out British rule. It was just a mutiny started by the Sepoys. It was just a mutiny started by the Sepoys. Another one, Mallison and Kay also regarded it as a Sepoy mutiny. So two sets. The foreign historians, they are of the opinion that it was a Sepoy mutiny. It was not at all a conspiracy to throw out the British rule. Whereas our Indian historians who saw the revolt with their own eyes, their opinion is different. They say that it was a revolt of the people of India to throw out the British rule from our country. Got it? So, opinion can be different. But it may be said that revolt was India's first war of independence. Do you know why? Because not only the Sepoys, but Hindus and Muslims, common people like peasants, artisans, and even women fought bravely with limited resources. Although they failed, they were able to create a sense of alarm among the British masters. That means the fear was instilled in the British masters, and it even inspired the future leaders in their struggle for freedom. Fear was instilled in the minds of British masters and inspiration in the minds of the young leaders of our country to free their country from the British rule. So this is all about from the revolt of 1857. So let us now recap. Before I end this topic, I would like to once again give you a short description from the beginning. So we started this chapter with the causes, and the causes, number one, political cause, in which we discussed the doctrine of lapse, disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar, ill treatment meted out to Nana Sahib, and Awadh was annexed on the pretext of misgovernment. And then we discussed about religious causes. With the coming of Britishers, Christian missionaries came to India. They started converting the people to Christianity. Many of the religious leaders, Hindu religious leader as well as Muslim religious leader, they had a fear that their religion is in danger. Then some of the social evils were made a punishable offense, like a sati pratha was banned. Widows were allowed to remarry. Property Act was changed. If you want to inherit the property of your ancestors, you need to convert yourself to Christianity. Telegraph poles were erected. They had a fear that these telegraph poles are erected just to hang them if they disobey the Britishers. Railway lines were introduced. The Brahmins, they were very much apprehensive that this was introduced to break their rigid caste system, in which they had to travel in the same compartment. So all these things. And then military causes also we discussed. Number one, the salaries were very low. There was a very poor prospect of promotion. They could hardly reach up to the post of Subedar. The soldiers were not treated properly. They were ill treated. They had to purchase ration from the army market, and at the end of the all those were deducted from the salary. So my dear, lot of things were there, and the most important cause we can say is the economic cause. Again, my dear, economically India was exploited. India was converted into a agricultural economy. Handicraft lost their job. The traders and merchants, they lost their jobs. Industries were closed down. British made goods were flooded in the Indian market. So this way, my dear, they faced a lot of problem. So economically also Indians suffered a lot. So then military causes which we discussed, then introduction of Enfield rifle, and with the introduction of Enfield rifle, the revolt started. Mangal Pandey Today we started with that only. Mangal Pandey was the one who refused to use the grease cartridge, and with that revolt broke out. And in different parts of the country, Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai led the movement. Then in Kanpur, Nana Sahib led the revolt. Okay, so this way, my dear, in different places, different areas, revolt was led by some of the capable leaders who ultimately failed. My dear. And then revolt came to an end. Then I taught you, just for the continuity, the causes of failure. Number one, they were not properly, revolt was not properly organized. There was a lack of planning. Then, as compared, that means able leadership was missing out, whereas Europeans, they had able leaders. So, as compared to the weapons used by Britishers, the Indians' weapons were far more inferior. They used old guns and primitive weapons were used to fight. And then, my dear, at last we can say that revolt was localized. It did not spread to the entire part of the country. Most of the educated people, they did not join the revolt. Many of the talukdars, like Nizam of Hyderabad, they were loyal to the Britishers. Educated Indians, they did not join the revolt. So all these were the reasons, the causes for the failure of revolt 1857. So what happened after that? Administrative changes. Number one, East India Company's rule came to an end. Administrative changes. Secretary of State of India, one of the cabinet minister from the British Parliament, was given the responsibility to look after the administration, who was to be assisted by 15 members, and 9 out of 15 members were to be a resident of India who had been residing in India for more than 10 years. So this is all about the revolt of 1857. And then Queen came up with a proclamation, Queen proclamation, number of promises that we discussed today only. So children, this is the end of this chapter. We have come to the end of this topic, the revolt of 1857. The questions, some of the home assignments will be given in the link. You go through it. So before I end this topic, I would like to remind you once again that the first part and the second part of this chapter is already given there, and I'll share the link again in this video too. So those who did not watch it, please watch it, because this is one of the most important chapters from history. 10 marks you are going to get it from this chapter. So please go through it. And then question answers of this chapter also will be given in the description link. I'll be giving you the link. So how many? Part 1, Part 2 link I'll give it in the description box, and the question answers, that is the home assignment, like a homework from this chapter, also will be shared in this video. So okay, so all together I have given you lots of work this time, so you have to complete it. So we have completed this chapter, so I'll be conducting the test also. So I'll not conduct the test from this chapter now. First of all, I'll conduct a test which we have test from Union Executive. So date will be announced later on. At least 24 hours before the test will declare the date. So children, hope you people understood the chapter. If you did not understand it, you can comment it. And if you did not at all understand, if you hesitate to write down the comment, then you can call me also. My number is given there in the, you can see the video link. So there also my number is given. You can email me also. So children, I request you once again, my dear, this way only we have to do our online classes. There is no guarantee when the school will reopen, my dear. So please don't take it lightly. Please watch the videos, do the part. Your part you do it, our part we are doing it. So please, I hope you understood it. And then once again a request, please watch the video, do the work given by your teachers, and please take part in a test also, and don't ignore your studies. Okay, so next class will start with a new chapter. We'll start with a new chapter again from history. That will be a rise of nationalism. That will be the rise of nationalism. Hope you people are not bored with a long video. Please, if you have a problem in watching this long video, make it part wise. Half an hour watch it today, half an hour day after tomorrow you watch it. But please watch the video. It is for you only. Thank you very much for watching me, tolerating me. Hope we'll meet again in next class. And in next class, we'll start with history, chapter number 2, the rise of nationalism. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.